For over 2,000 years, billions have recited the Lord's Prayer, but almost no one understands what it truly means. What if every word is part of a sacred code, hidden in plain sight? What if Jesus wasn't teaching religion, but consciousness? The original Aramaic version holds secrets lost in translation, and once you understand what he really said, it will change how you see everything, forever. There is a prayer so familiar, so deeply embedded into the collective memory of millions, that most recite it without ever questioning its meaning. It begins with the words, "Our Father who art in heaven," and continues with phrases that seem comforting, sacred, and simple. But what if behind its surface lies an ancient code, a mystical teaching not meant for public rituals, but for those with ears to hear and eyes to see? The Lord's Prayer, as taught by Jesus, is more than a set of words. It is a spiritual formula, an invocation that aligns the soul with the cosmic laws of the universe. When read through the lens of mysticism and early esoteric Christianity, each line opens a gateway into higher consciousness. The problem is, most people only know the watered-down version, translated through layers of dogma, interpretation, and institutional control. In the ancient Aramaic language, the one Jesus actually spoke, the prayer carries entirely different nuances. It's not just a request to a distant God in the sky. It's a roadmap to awakening, to harmonizing the body, mind, and spirit with divine will. Hidden within the cadence of its words lies the rhythm of creation itself. To understand what Jesus truly meant, we must journey beyond translation, beyond tradition, and enter the realm of the sacred science of the Word. This is not theology, it is transformation, and what you're about to discover might change how you see reality forever. To truly grasp the depth of this prayer, we must begin with the first phrase, "Our Father who art in heaven." In Aramaic, the phrase is Abwoon, a mysterious sound vibration that carries a far more expansive meaning than the English translation suggests. Abwoon does not simply mean father in the paternal sense. It is a composite word, a fusion of the divine masculine and feminine, pointing not to a male deity, but to the source of all life, the creative breath, the sacred vibration behind all forms. Bwashmaya refers not merely to heaven as a place, but to the dimension of vibration, the field of subtle energy from which all physical reality emanates. So when Jesus begins this prayer, he is not addressing a man-like God in the clouds. He is invoking the universal source that dwells within all things, the intelligent frequency that animates the cosmos. Already the prayer takes on an entirely new meaning. It is not external worship, it is inner alignment. It is not about supplication, it is about resonance. This shift changes everything, and it continues. Hallowed be thy name becomes, in Aramaic, a declaration, Neth Kadash Shmak. But this too is not mere praise. It means, may your name be sanctified, or more accurately, may the vibration of your being be made sacred within us. It is an invitation to embody the divine name, not to speak it, but to become it. What Jesus taught was not a religion, but a science of consciousness. And the Lord's Prayer is not a passive chant. It's a spiritual activation code. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. To most, these lines sound like a hopeful plea, an appeal for divine order to manifest in a chaotic world. But in the Aramaic, the meaning shifts from passive wish to active embodiment. The phrase te malkuthak does not mean bring your kingdom, but rather let your kingdom arise within us. It is not something descending from the clouds. It is something awakened within the heart through conscious alignment. Malkutha in Aramaic is not a monarchy. It's the realization of divine order, the harmony of the soul with the universal flow. It is the inner realm where divine will and personal will merge, and this kingdom is not in the distant future. It is now. It is always now. The next line, "Your will be done," is Newe Tsevyanach, which calls for the merging of individual will with the cosmic pattern, not submission but synchronization. Jesus wasn't teaching obedience to an external authority. He was guiding the seeker to become one with the unfolding intelligence of the universe. And then, on earth as it is in heaven, Ikana Debwashmaya of Barha. This is not just a comparison, it's a principle. The same laws that govern the higher realms also shape the material plane. The microcosm and the macrocosm are reflections. The spiritual and the physical are not separate, they are mirrors. In this single verse, Jesus encapsulated the law of correspondence. As above, so below. He was teaching Hermetic truth long before it was named. Give us this day our daily bread. A simple request, it seems. Food, sustenance. But the Aramaic original, Havlan Lakma Desunkanan Yaomana, holds deeper layers. Lakma can mean bread, yes, but also understanding, wisdom, or even vitality. And Sunkanan implies a constant need, not just for physical food, but for spiritual nourishment, something that sustains the soul, not merely the body. Jesus was not teaching his followers to beg for food. He was inviting them to open themselves daily to divine nourishment, to receive the energy of the source, the living frequency that flows into those who are aligned. Daily bread is the inner manna, the life force that feeds the spirit. This line also echoes a timeless truth found in mystic traditions across the world, that what we consume, whether food, thought, or energy, shapes our being. It is not just about what we take in, but how we receive it, whether with mindfulness, reverence, or distraction. The line becomes a call to live consciously, to digest life with awareness. Then comes the mysterious line, "Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us." In Aramaic, Wash Boklan Kaubain Watahain, Ikana Daf Kanan Shabwokan Lakayabain. The word Kaubain doesn't just mean sins, it means debts, errors, missed targets. Jesus reframes sin not as guilt, but as misalignment, and forgiveness as a recalibration of flow. To forgive is to restore energy, to dissolve blockages, to re-enter the current of divine order. And the key is mutuality. As we forgive, we are forgiven, not as a transaction, but as a law of resonance. What we release, releases us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. This line, perhaps more than any other, has been misunderstood. In the Aramaic it reads, Wela talan lanisyuna, ela patsan min bisha. The word nisyuna does not imply divine testing, nor does it suggest that God might lead someone into moral failure. Instead, it refers to the trials of life, the inner struggles, the illusions that pull us away from center. Wela talan means, do not let us enter into forgetfulness. Forgetfulness of what? Of who we are, of our divine origin, of our sacred purpose. Jesus isn't suggesting God might tempt us. He's praying that we remain awake, that we not fall asleep in the dream of separation. And Bisha, often translated as evil, is better understood as chaotic energy, discord, or inner distortion. It is not a red-horned figure lurking in the shadows. It is the fragmentation within ourselves that occurs when we are out of resonance with divine flow. So the line becomes, do not let us be lost in illusion. Rescue us from disintegration, a plea for wholeness, for coherence, for protection against the forces that scatter the soul. Then, in some versions of the prayer, though absent in the oldest manuscripts, comes the doxology. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. A declaration of divine sovereignty, a closing affirmation of the alignment we have invoked. This was never a passive script to recite before bed. It was an encoded formula, a spiritual technology meant to realign the human vessel with the cosmic order, a sacred frequency capable of shifting consciousness. When seen through the lens of its original language and mystical intent, the Lord's Prayer becomes something entirely different, not a routine, not a ritual, but a living blueprint for transformation. Each line vibrates with ancient wisdom, crafted not for obedience, but for awakening. It is not directed to a God out there, but to the divine essence within. Jesus wasn't teaching dependence. He was teaching empowerment. He was showing the initiate how to enter the kingdom within, to align with the sacred rhythm of the universe, and to live as a conscious participant in divine creation. The tragedy is that this knowledge was hidden, not by accident but by design. As institutional religion grew in power, the deeper truths were veiled, altered, translated to death. What remained was a shell, a beautiful one, but hollowed out. The real teachings became the domain of mystics, Gnostics, and those brave enough to seek beneath the surface. But the time of concealment is ending. We are entering an age of remembrance, where forgotten truths rise again and ancient prayers regain their voice, not as superstition, but as sacred science, not as dogma, but as direct experience. So next time you hear the words, Our Father, pause. Feel the vibration behind the phrase. Remember its origin. Speak it not to plead, but to activate, to reconnect, to realign. The Lord's Prayer, properly understood, is not about salvation after death. It's about embodied divinity in life. Jesus wasn't giving us words. He was giving us access to the source, to the self, to the eternal now. And now, you know. If this revelation stirred something within you, know that it is only the beginning. There are deeper teachings, hidden truths that were never meant for the masses. In our next journey, we explore the lost teachings of Jesus on energy and the divine self, truths that were buried for centuries. They didn't want you to know this. Watch now. Jesus's lost teachings on energy and the divine self.